Right, so is an increase and decrease. It's got something to do with multipliers, so we need to think about it as when there is an increase, then we're going to add it on to 100%. When there's a decrease, we're taking it away from the 100%. So what is a multiplier? That is equivalent to the percentage increase of 15%. So since there is going to be an increase, that's going to be 100% plus the 15%, which will give us 115%. So when you're using the calculator and you're trying to find out the percentage of this, you need to convert it into a decimal to make sure that it is a multiplier. Okay, so that means you need to divide this by 100, and 115 out of 100 as a decimal is going to be 1.15. So the multiplier for this question is going to be 1.15. We're going to do this one now. So we've got what is a multiplier that is equivalent to a percentage decrease of 25%. It's a decrease, it goes down, so we've got 100%, take away 25%, that's going to give us 75%, and we know that 75% can be written down as 75 out of 100, and that is 0.75, okay? And the multiplier for this question is 0.75. Now, what I need from you now is to try and have a go at the next two questions, and then we're going to check our answers. Right, let's have a look at this then. So we have 17% increase, that's going to be 100% plus the 17%, that will give you 117%. 117% can be written down as 117 out of 100, which is, when you convert it into a decimal, it's 1.17. So the multiplier for this question is 1.17. This is a decrease. That means we need to take it away from 100. Right, 57%. 57 out of 100 is 0.57. So the multiplier of this is 0.57. You can check your answers now. Right, the train fare costs £23.55. All train fares are increased by 4.2%. Work out the new fare. Now, since it was increased, then that means there is going to be an increase on top of 100%. So that is 100 plus the 4.2%. That will give you 104.2%. Remember, we can convert this into a decimal and times by the number, which will show us the new price. And 104.2% as a decimal, if I was to write it down as a multiplier, that's going to be 1.042. And if I do £23.55 times 1.042, that's going to give me £24. Well, I ended up with 5391. So remember, when we're finding out these answers, we need to convert it into two decimal places because it's got something to do with money. So you have 24.54. That is the new fare. Okay. Now pause this and have a go at the next question. Right, all train fares are increased by 7.6%. Okay, so we've got 100% plus the 7.6%, which gives you 107.6%. If I convert this into a multiplier, that's going to give me 1.076, and I need to do £27.55 times 1.076, and that will give you 29.6438, and we need to round it to two decimal places. That will be £29.64. Now, a savings account pays 3.6% per annum simple interest. Now, really important here, Because when you read these type of questions and they're talking to you about a certain amount of years, students usually tend to think that it is going to be a compound interest question, and this is not. This is a simple interest question, and it is completely different than to the power of 5. We're not going to do that. We're just going to do the simple interest, which means whatever you start off with, that is the amount of money you are going to receive every year. It doesn't increase or decrease. Now, we've got a saving account that pays us 3.6% for every year, and Jackie puts £500 into the account. For the first year, this is the first year. When I add 3.6 to 100, that will give me 103.6%. Convert 103.6% into a decimal, that will be 1.036. So if I times 500 by 1.036, that will give me the interest we are going to receive every year. Okay? Now, so if I do 1.036 times 500, that will give me 518. That means every year the interest that will be added on is £18. We're going to have this for 5 years. That means we need to do 5 times 18, and then we'll add it on to 500. 5 times 18, 90. So that means in 5 years' time, there's going to be £90 added on to this £500, which we can say 500 plus 90 is £590, and you're going to make sure that you put the zeros next to it so you've got 2 decimal places. So you're going to try and have a go at the next one now. Right, let's do this. So we've got 4.8% is going to be an increase, so it's just adding on. 100% plus the 4.8% is 104.8%. If I convert this into a decimal, that will be 1.048. And if I was to times £400 by 1.048, I'm going to end up with 419.2. This is what you need to pay attention to when you've got questions like this, because this is one of the main misconceptions that whenever students end up with, let's say £419.2, they just assume that it is 2 pence, but it's actually 20. If it was 2 pence, then on your calculator's display, you will see something like 419.02 instead of just 2, okay? So your calculator is just eliminating the 0 at the end. You need to add it on. So that will be 20p. Now, the difference between 400 and 419.20 is 19.20. So every year, you're going to receive £19.20, and we are going to receive this amount for 5 years. That means we need to do 5 times 19.20, and then add it on to our original price, which was 400. 400 plus 96, you are going to end up with £496 in total, and she will be able to have £496 in her account. Right, in 1 week, the mass of a puppy increases from 1.4 to 2.24. Work out the percentage increase of the mass. Okay, that's absolutely fine. The formula was that we are going to do new, take away the old, divided by old times 100. So we're going to find out the change between 2.24 and 1.4. We're going to divide it by the original number that was mentioned to us, which is 1.4, and then times it by 100. So we're going to do 2.24 take away 1.40 divided by 1.40 times it by 100. And the rest is going to be some calculator work, unless you want to write down the simpler version of this, which is going to be this, okay? Now, make sure, when you're doing this on your calculator, make sure you're using the fraction sign. And we're going to get 60%. Now, you're going to pause this and have a go at the next one. Right, so we're going to end up with 300%. Let's have a look at the next section. In a sale, all items are reduced by 40%. On the final day, the sale prices are reduced by 20%. Work out the final day price of a sofa that was priced at £200 before the sale started. So we know that it was priced as £200 before the sale started. There is going to be a reduction of 40%, and after we find it out, there is going to be another reduction for 20%, which will give us the final day price of the sofa. So, if I start off with 200 then, I need to make a reduction of 40%. So I need to find out what 40% of 200 is and take it away. Okay? You're going to use the calculators for this one. So we're going to do 200. Sorry? Oh, 0.6. Why am I saying 0.4? 0.6. So reduced, we take it away from 100, 0.6. So we've got 120 now. And then there is going to be a 20% decrease of this. So we're going to take 20% away from this. Okay? And that's going to be 96. Thank you. Now, can you work out the percentage decrease between the final day price and the original price? So we need to do new, take away old, divided by old, times by 100. So the new one is going to be £96. Take away the old one, which was £200, divided by 200, and then we're going to times it by 100. So we're going to have 96 take away 200 divided by 200, and we times that by 100. If you use the formula, you are going to end up with a negative percentage in the end. That indicates that there has been a decrease. There has been a decrease of 52%. Decrease of 52%. Right, we are going to end up with £145.60 as the final day price, and your percentage change is going to be 44% decrease. After a 12% increase, the cost of a new cooker is £260.40. Work out the original price of the cooker. So there has been an increase. That means I have 100% plus the 12%. Now we have 112%. So this 112%, if I was to convert it into a decimal, I'm going to divide it by 100. That's going to give me 1.12. So there was a price, which we found 1.12 lots of that price, and that gave us £260.40. They're asking us to go back and find out what the original price was. So when I go back, I'm going to do the inverse operation of this. So that means I need to divide 260/40 by 1.12, and that's going to give me 232.5, which is, remember, you're going to write this down as not 5, 50p. This is not 5p, this is 50p. Now, we're pausing this and trying the next question ourselves. Let's go. So we're going to get £167, 19 pence. Right, £4,000 is invested at 1.5% compound interest. That's great. The question is actually telling us we're going to be using compound interest. Show that the value of this investment after 2 years is going to be £4,120 and 90 pence. So this question simply is asking you to show the workings out of what you're supposed to be doing when it comes to compound interest. Okay? Now, so we have 4,000 times 1 plus 1.5% as a decimal. So we're going to have 0.015. So we're going to add this on to the power of 2. And I'm going to write down the second line. That will be 4,000 times 1.015 to the power of 2, and then you're going to check that with your calculator, and you're going to make sure you substitute your value inside the bracket, because that's really important. Because what your calculator tends to do then, if you don't substitute the value inside the bracket, it is going to multiply 4,000 and 1.015 and square that, and you don't want that. So I have 4120.9, and I'm going to add the 0 next to it myself, and that will be my answer, and I will get marks for this. Now I'm going to pause it now, and you guys are going to try and have a go at the next one. Right. This is important. You guys actually need to pay a lot of attention to this question, because we're going to be doing something algebraic here. So this question is giving us some information, and they say a running club has 315 members, and there are 25% more men than women in the running club. How many men are there in this running club? Now, first of all, I need to write down the information given to me in an algebraic form. That means for m equals, if it is 25% more, 25% more means 125%, and when you convert it into a decimal, that's 1.25. So every m is going to equate to 1.25 W. I know that if I was to add men and women, that's going to give me 315 members. Now, what I can do is, I can find out, I can substitute 1.25 W into m, because I know that m equals to 1.25 W. So I'm going to simply write 1.25 W plus W equals 315 members. 1.25 W plus a W is going to give you 2.25 W. And if I do 315 divided by 2.25, that will give me 140. So in this team, there are 140 women. The question is asking you to find out how many men are there. So we need to do 315 take away 140. which is going to give us 175 men. Okay, I'm not going to move on to my next question. I would like you guys to try and have a go at the next one on this slide here. So that's 344 members with 15%. You're more than welcome to write down this these steps for question 8a, and then try and have a go at the next one. So have a look at this. If every man has the same value as every woman, you write it down like this, right? M equals W. That means 1M equals to 1W. And if I treat 1 as the percentage, so 100%, 100%. The question is telling you that there are 15% more men than women. So men's actually 15% more, men's equal to 15% more than the right hand side. So the right hand side has to be 15% more, so then it equates to M. So if I add 15% on top of the 100%, that's going to give you 115%. Convert it into a decimal, you've got 1.15. So every man equals to 1.15 lots of women. Okay? Now, I know that the total amount of members we have are 344. So instead of writing M, I can now simply write down 1.15W instead of M, because they are the same thing. So 1.15W plus W equals to 344 members. So 1.15W plus W is going to give you 2.15W, that equals to 344. So we divided by 2.15, divided by 2.15. With questions like this, if you end up with a decimal, you are not going to round it up, because you can't have point something of a human being. You need to round it down, okay? So if I have 344 divided by 215, that is going to give me 160. So W equals 160. They're asking me to find out how many men are there in the running club. So if I was to do 344, take away the 160, I'm going to end up with 184 members that are men. Now, going back to my previous question where it says 40% of the men and 30% of the women also belong to a cycling club. Now that you know the amount of people and what gender it is, you can actually use that information to divide it into whatever percentage it is. So you've got 175 men and 140 women. So they're telling you that from this total amount, 40% of the men also belong to cycling club, and 30% of the women also belong to your cycling club. So we're going to try and find out 40% of men and 30% of women, which will show you the answer for the next bit. Okay? Now, let's quickly do that. We have 175. If I was to times it by 0.40, so that's going to give me the 40% of men. And if I'm trying to figure out women, so that's going to be 140 times 0.30, and you guys find out the answer. Okay?